Just working it out here, working the kinks out right as we get started. So, welcome everybody. My name is Greg Marcoux. Again, I'm sure if you've been to some of our webinars, you've seen me already. So, thank you for coming. At least it's a beautiful day here in upstate New York. Hopefully, it's a nice day where you are as well. Just a couple housekeeping notes here. It is, if you have any questions, feel free to submit them in the chat on the left side of your screen. If you have any questions, submit them there. It is a moderated chat, so if you submit a question, it will not automatically go into the chat box. We will hold questions to the end, so even if you submit a question now, we will answer it at the end. We just want to make sure that we're keeping a nice flow going. So if you have any questions at any time in the presentation, submit them, and then we'll answer them by the end of the presentation. So at this point, I will pass it off to Kate and the rest of the team.
Hi everybody, I'm Kate Stockton and I am the advisor for the main department, Mechanical, Aeronautical, and Nuclear Engineering Department. And today we have two advisors from the hub. We have Valerie Swenson and Kristin Bergen. And then we have Rama Hamarne, who is going to also talk about, we're going to talk about the whole process, and I'll talk about advising for Maine students in the last 3 years, and Rama is going to talk about ECSC students. Valerie's going to talk about all of the other engineering students, what happens after the first year, and Kristin's going to talk about advising for the first year. So we're going to turn it over to Kristin, and we'll all jump in at the end and answer some questions.
Cool. Well, hello everyone. I'm manning the slides here too, and sometimes I'm really bad at multitasking. So as Kate just said, we're going to talk about academic advising in the School of Engineering. Every school at RPI does it a little bit differently. So we wanted to make sure that you felt really comfortable with how we're doing it in School of Engineering. And I think I can speak for all the advisors when I say that we're really proud of how we do it in the School of Engineering. Of course, we're biased, but I think we're allowed to be. So first things first, I am Kristin Bergen. I am an advisor in the first year School of Engineering Advising Hub. I advise the undeclared engineers. A bit about me, I do live in Troy and I love living in Troy. I've actually spent most of my quarantine, I have a little yard next to my apartment, learning how to garden, and I have enough injuries to prove that. If you want to reach out to me about Troy, not just like, advising or undeclared engineers, please feel free to. I definitely take advantage of this little town that we live in, and I love it to bits. Also, I think it's important for me to mention that I am usually blonde. I don't usually have teal hair, but I'm taking full advantage of the social isolation and really exploring my options of hair color. I've been the undeclared engineering advisor for going on 3 years now, and I won't talk about it too much. I actually have a webinar tomorrow, so for those of you who are undeclared engineering or are considering a switch to undeclared engineering, I'm going to go through all the options that and opportunities that we provide you to make sure that you feel really confident as you decide on a major that's right for you here at RPI. So if you want to tune into that, it's at 3 p.m. I'm sure you got an email about it. If not, you can email me. My email address is right here, and I'll send you the link. But it would be great to meet you there. So one of the reasons why I'm here is actually because as an undeclared advisor, I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. So it lets me really speak a little bit to all the majors. I'll never pretend to be an expert, which is why I have the team that we're part of, and we stress the word collaborative over and over again when we talk about the School of Engineering advising. But I definitely, I can answer a lot of those questions about a lot of the majors. So hopefully I'll be able to help you today with any questions that you might have. So as I alluded to, in the School of Engineering, we do have a very unique way of approaching advising, and this little image, I hope, demonstrates what we do. So in your very first year, you're actually going to start with the SOE Hub. You're going to get an SOE Hub advisor who is specific to your major, and that person is going to help guide you from your transition from high school to college. So you'll start hearing from us in mid-June if you choose to come to RPI, or if you've already chosen to come to RPI. We will work with you one-on-one basically from that point all the way through the fall semester, all the way through the spring semester, and that's where we'll start to transition you from your faculty advisor. Faculty advisor, it is a different type of position to the staff advisors. And this slide kind of demonstrates the main differences. So first and foremost, none of us in this webinar today, we're not faculty, we're not professors. Our job is to literally sit at our computers, at our desks, and be 100% available to you. We're not teaching classes, we're not doing undergraduate research, we're not going to conferences. We're here to kind of be that service. And in the hub, our goal is to make sure that you are totally prepared for that transition to a faculty advisor, as the faculty advisors are, of course, teaching classes and running research and doing conferences and writing papers and creating networking events. So that's where the big difference is between all of us in this webinar today and the faculty advisors that you'll go to. Another big difference is, as a hub advisor, we can have in the hub, not for Kate and Rama, but we can have anywhere between like 200 and 250 advisees, which is manageable because you guys are what we're paying attention to. Faculty advisors, because of everything else they're doing, their load is somewhere between probably 30 and 50, which is, I think the numbers speak a lot to the differences between how this transition works. Kate and Rama are going to go into way more detail about this, of how it impacts the ECSC and the main majors. Main being mechanical, aeronautical, and nuclear engineering, and ECSC, of course, being the electrical and computer systems engineering. Val is going to cover the rest of those majors through the transition. So this is the hub. So you will be greeted by one of these smiling faces in mid-June. As I said, that's where we start helping you with your transition into college. Val and I are here today, but Marie, Karen, and Kara are equally as accessible as we are. So if you see your major attached to one of them, do not be shy about reaching out if you have questions now that you think that they could help with. Also, it's nice to just touch base with someone on campus that you know is here for you, so that you can kind of start to build that relationship with an advisor that can help you out. Not necessarily have questions for them, but like, who your person is, that place that you can go as you're kind of getting acclimated with us. This is the hub. So the hub is, as you can see by these pictures, it's in the center of campus, in the center of the academic building that is dedicated to engineering. We're right next door to the core engineering offices. In these pictures, you'll see that we actually host a lot of pretty huge events. Well, huge, we can only get 80 seats in the room, but that's a pretty big number for our space. But we hold these events so that we can really give you guys that information that you need as you're leaving, your first year into your second year, and feel confident about it. So we host programs like Meet Your Professor, where they come and kind of tell you about how to network with them. We host programs like the Industry Hour, which allow speakers, working professionals to come to campus to network with you and tell you about the day-to-day of every major and what it ends up being in the industry. And just so you know, tomorrow I'm going to talk about that a lot more if that sounds interesting to you. You can see in the top left of your screen, this is the entrance, and right there is a work study student. If you do have work study, we do have work studies working in all the different offices. So Kate and Rama can even talk more to that, but it's a good way to engage with the School of Engineering if you're interested in that too. So other ways that we prepare you for college in the hub. So the first thing you'll see here is called the hidden curriculum. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's all the stuff that you don't necessarily know about yet, that you kind of need to know about very well in order to be successful in college. So the registration guides are the thing that you'll get in mid-June that will help you with your very first registration. Student orientation, of course, we're going to provide more information, and then we're going to give you stuff all through the fall semester and actually into the spring semester as well. Basically, you can expect something from the hub every month that is going to help you feel really confident as a student at RPI. Your 4-year plan of study, again, is exactly what it sounds like. You will work with your advisor to create a plan that includes all your years at RPI, going semester by semester. And it's not as intimidating as it sounds, because some of the decisions you're just not going to be able to make by the end of your first year. What's important is that you know they're there. So that's the 4-year plan. And then, as I mentioned in the very beginning, your hub advisor is going to be very, very accessible to you. And we all pride ourselves on saying, even if it's very clear that we are not the right office and definitely might not have the right answer, we're going to work with you to figure out who the right person is. So you can always think of us as your one-stop shop to making sure that you can figure out what's going on campus. And then, as I hinted to you before, we do monthly programming. So the Meet Your Faculty I talked about, and then Cafe Hub is actually the program. It's going to be faculty advisor specific. So as soon as you know who your faculty advisor are, we're going to have a little social gathering where you get to meet them and meet the other students who are also there. They also have the same faculty advisor, which is nice because then you can kind of all go through that adjustment together, and you'll know your peers by then. So it'll be a fun program. This slide, major templates are something that will continue to guide you through, and you're going to work with a major template from your first, basically, again, mid-June, all the way to graduation. So it's your responsibility to know which major template belongs to you. And I posted this one of the civil engineering with a note because that is one of the reasons why you want to talk to your academic advisor very, very regularly. Sometimes we get updates from the department and we can just scribble them onto your sheet so that you know that there are other classes available than the ones listed. It's really nice to get that insider knowledge, but it's not really insider knowledge because you should be talking to us anyway. On the other side, you'll see this is a guide that was created by the hub in order to support undeclared engineer students. So I'll be talking about that more tomorrow, but it again is an example of all the different ways that we create resources to help you come to college and find good advising support. These are the 3 things that you really want to kind of keep in the back of your head when you think about advising. So first and foremost, you do want to meet with us very regularly. Once a semester is fine, but we definitely have students who come in a couple of times during the semester. And the more we know you, the better we can support you. So that's up to you, but definitely at least once a semester. You want to make sure that you are able to understand and monitor your curriculum requirements. This is what we teach you how to do, so we're working with you on this. None of us expect you to come right in and know what you're supposed to do or what you're responsible for, but we do expect that by the end of the first year, you have some level of confidence in this. The School of Engineering Advising contract I've thrown onto this slide too, because it's something that you will be looking at in mid-June, and its goal is actually to very clearly articulate all of those things that you want to know about. So I'm kind of planting a seed here that we do have a lot of ways to help you know what's going on. So what we're about to talk about is, after you go through the hub, what's next? So we know it's faculty advising. And this is where it gets a little bit different depending upon the major, depending upon the department that you're working or that you're going to be majoring in. So these numbers really clarify why each office and department are a little bit different. So we can see that in Maine, so again, that's mechanical, aero, nuclear, there's quite a few students that declare these majors. ECSE, again, there's quite a few. And then with the remaining, each of them are a little bit smaller. Like we can see environmental right there has 56 students. So, with a number of first year students being 13, you can kind of see that there are there are ways that the School of Engineering has created advising to ensure that students will always have, that good student to advisor ratio. So I'm not going to talk anymore about that because that is why my teammates are on this call. So first we're going to hear from ECSC, then we're going to hear from Maine, and then Val will kind of wrap us up with the other department offices. So that is my bit. So I'm going to pass it over to Rama now. There you go. You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, hi everyone. I'm Rama Hamarne. I'm Student Services for ECSC. We're calling it Student Services, but it's just me. A little bit about myself. So I'm originally from Toronto, so you'll hear a lot of stories in like everything I say, like a true Canadian. And I'm also live in Troy, so if you want to talk about that, there's a lot of great food here. So it's pretty exciting. And I'm a huge sci-fi fan, books and TV. Basically, my joke is if Star is in the name, Star Trek, Star Wars, etc., I'm probably a fan of it. So if you want to talk about that too, my door is always open. But I'm the undergraduate student coordinator for ECSC. So when you transition from the hub, I am your first point of contact with our department. So if you have any questions at all, hopefully I can help you out, or I can help you figure out who the right person to go to is and what the kind of next steps should be. So my primary role as undergraduate student coordinator is as an advisor to y'all, and I'll talk a little bit about how I communicate with your faculty advisors and what the difference is between me and a faculty advisor in 2 slides. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about the other things I do in ECSC, so you can just kind of get an idea of that. So I do event planning, things for admissions, things for students who are at RPI. I help out with student organizations and planning events for them as well. I update our website and social media, and I work on data collection and analysis for the department. I also send out a weekly newsletter for our ECSE students with upcoming events and opportunities. I work on our degree clearance process. So after your 4 years, when you're in the graduation space, I kind of help you make sure you've met those requirements. And I also provide curriculum planning support. So those templates that you saw a couple of slides ago for ECSC, I help with logistically creating those and making sure they stay updated. So where to find me? So I am a staff advisor, which means my primary job is to be here to support you. And so I'm on the 6th floor of JEC. So that's, if you go, you can see my little map there, but if you go right from the elevators, I'm the 2nd door on your right. My door is pretty much always open, and I'm in the office Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 5, so you can totally feel free to stop by. I also have an appointment link. You can also, there's a phone number, very approachable. You can also email, and I'm here to be accessible to answer any questions that you might have. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of what student services, what I do as your ECSE staff advisor versus what your faculty advisor does. So again, I will say I'm not an engineer. So there's some stuff I just can't help you with. But I'm here to talk about your major and your degree requirements. Are you on track to graduating? What do you still need? And in that same vein, helping out with your class schedule, what classes work together, what you need to be taking when, what's a prerequisite, etc. I'm also here to help with forms, sign all our forms on behalf of the department. You'll see if you need any forms, I'm the person to come to for that. If you are interested in a minor in electrical or computer and systems engineering, I'm also the person to come to. Similarly, if you're interested in undergraduate research, I'll kind of talk to you about what you're interested in and help you figure out which faculty you should be approaching in order to do undergraduate research. If you have any registration questions, if you're trying to get transfer credit to come in from study abroad or from taking like a summer class somewhere, again, I'm the contact for that. Like I said, I have a weekly newsletter, and I try and get the info out to you whenever there's events and opportunities that are coming up. So similarly, if you're part of a student organization or something and you want to advertise your events, I'm the person to go to. And any general questions, please ask. That's why I'm here. And if you don't ask, you won't get an answer to it. And I will do my best to help you figure out kind of where you should go if I can't answer that question for you. Your faculty advisor, on the other hand, is an engineer and is an expert in their field. So when you get to your junior and senior year, you start taking major electives, and those are courses that you get to choose based on your areas of interest. When you're at that stage, you should definitely be communicating with your faculty advisor. You can share your future plans with them, and they can tell you, based on your interests, what you want to do, what the best classes are for you. They're also the people to talk to about your future plans, about graduate school, what the requirements are for that, what the best places to go are, questions about the field in general, questions about industry. They are 100% the contact for that. You'll also do a yearly meeting with them to lift an advising hold. You can meet with them as much as you want, but that is that kind of one required meeting. They're also really great to talk to for research. Again, especially if they're in your area of interest, they are an awesome resource for that. At any advisor signature, that's them. Also, any questions about jobs, internships, kind of figuring out what's right for you within the field of engineering. Your faculty advisor is the person to go to for that. So I like to say anything logistical, come to me. Any, kind of general questions, come to me. Anything field specific, faculty advisor. And you can always come to both of us if you want. So I think that's about all I have. So I'm going to pass it along to Kate. But if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the little chat box, and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. So Kate.
Hello. All right, so let me move to the next slide. So I am Kate Stockton, and I am the Senior Student Services Administrator for the Maine Department. And we do have a Student Services office for Maine. I think probably you guys noticed that the numbers for Maine are much higher. As a department, we do have 3 majors, and total we're just under 1,500. Those numbers are as of the fall of 19. So we are a very large department, and because of that, we do have extra support, mostly because our faculty, we have so many faculty members, and they do have a larger load for advisees per faculty. So it just basically takes the load off of them a little bit to have our office. Same thing that Rama was saying, faculty are busy, they're teaching, they're doing research, they are holding office hours for their students that are in their classes. So there are times when it's really hard to track down your faculty advisor to have it's funny how different people describe it, because I describe it as where you can be kind of like your urgent care. When you have an emergent need, something that's like, you got to get this form signed. It's not like, not life or death or anything, but just something that is timely, but not long term. So that's what I like to think our office is. We're in there. It's, we have Julie and Julie's our administrative specialist. We share a space on the second floor of the JEC. I'll show you a picture and a couple slides of what it looks like. We're in there, and if we're not in there, we usually have a work study student in there with us. And our work study students are really great resources, because what Rama was talking about earlier is that I am also not an engineer, never have been, never will be. So I can't answer a lot of questions that have to do with certain what you learn in certain classes. I'm learning as I go, but I still don't know what happens in those classes because I never took those classes. And that's where I sometimes lean on our students, and I'll ask them, could you talk about that class? What do you think of that? That time for that class, or taking those 2 classes together. So So our office is here to support all Maine students. We're kind of on the bookends. So we do a lot with the recruitment aspect. So that's why if you guys have seen me before, I'm definitely the connection for the Maine department and anything related to recruitment and admissions. And then you guys get to spend the year with the hub and get the advising that you need for the first year, and then you come back to us. So it's kind of fun. And even before students are in this phase that you're in right now, if students come and visit us, we will connect them with a student to give them a tour of the JEC and talk about the classes that Maine students take. So we do a lot of that. We also do a lot with Accepted Student Day. When it's on campus, we have all of our student groups there. We just try to make sure that we try to educate students about what it is to be a Maine student. We also provide, the other thing our office does is we do event planning. We do a big event in December, right before finals. We do cookies and cocoa, where we have tons of cookies from the cookie factory that are either already made or are the undecorated kind. So you can either decorate cookies or you can just eat some cookies. And also we usually do some kind of ornament decoration. We have Santas there with a photo booth. We have chair massages. So we've got a lot going on that we try to, it's like our, end of the season kind of gathering for students. So that's what we do in our office, student programming, and we're really like the connections to the rest of campus. All of our Maine students typically have at least one class in the JEC, or it's just kind of in the center of campus, so it's really easy to access us, and we can always point you in the right direction. And sometimes it's an access thing with your faculty advisor, because again, they're going to be more long-term planning. Like, what do you want to do after you graduate? Are you going to look at grad school? Are you going to be applying for jobs, do an internship, that sort of thing? We want you to have those conversations with your faculty advisor, but we realize that sometimes you're going to need an answer sooner than later, or sooner than your faculty can work with you or get you some answers. So that's what we're there for. And then any information that comes in to Maine. So if it has to go to students, that's kind of what we're in charge of, is making sure our students are aware of any new policies or anything like that. All right, so I just wanted to show you a little bit. These are just some pictures of our faculty working with students. The faculty advisors is kind of repetitive, because I think basically faculty advisors do the same no matter what department you're in. So even if you're in a smaller engineering department or you're in, mechanic in Maine, it doesn't matter, because faculty advisors are pretty much doing the same thing with their students. But it is important to know that advising is a really important part of the faculty's job, that they do take it seriously. Most of them are really good with handling the advising questions. They're just not always doing it as often as I am, or Rama is, or the hub advisors are. So sometimes they're not as used to they're really good with the general, like, typical things, and some of them are really good with trying to navigate some different situations, but we're usually dealing with things much more often. So they're really good about coming to me in the Maine. They come to me, or even just to have somebody look it over again. That's really good, like for degree clearance or anything like that. They're also really good resources for students who are interested in doing research. So again, they know their colleagues, and they know what their colleagues are doing, and at a level that I just probably never will. I have a list of the kind of research that our faculty are doing, but as someone who's not an engineer, I can't really take what the student is saying that they're interested in and point them in the best direction as well as a faculty can. So they're the ones, they're having a conversation. You may not do research with your faculty advisor. Most of the time you probably won't, but your faculty advisor is the best person to say, this is the faculty you should be reaching out to. They can also help students, like Rama said, with picking out those technical electives. If students are interested in doing a concentration or a track. So our aero students, they have to decide if they're going to do rotorcraft or fixed wing or space. So faculty can kind of help them navigate that. And then our faculty can be really great resources for networking. Asish Ghosh, who's the faculty in the second picture from the left on the top, he loves to connect students with recent startups because he's kind of our innovation guy. So he does classes that specifically teach students how to basically start their own business, start their own product, and then do a startup. So he has a lot of alumni that have done those programs and have started their own business, and he's always loving to connect students with them. So this is where we're located. So the JEC, which is the Johnson Engineering Center, if you've never been to our campus, it is, I think we have a picture on a few slides when Valerie's going to talk. Unfortunately, not the prettiest building on campus, but it is probably one of the busiest, I would say, especially during the middle of the week when classes are in session. Because a lot of the RPI students are engineers and they're in there. So we're very visible because the unique thing about the JEC is that there are 2 levels that you kind of walk in from outside, and neither one is the first floor. The first floor is basically the basement. There are labs down there. There are classes that you will take down on the first floor, but it is definitely not something that you're walking in on that level. The second floor is you walk in on that level from one of the ends of the building, and then you go up those stairs that you can see and go down the hall, and that's where the hub is. So we're both kind of on a main level. So we're both easy to find. So that's us. The team that we have in that picture, we've got Julie there on my left, that's me in the middle, and Tom Haley, who is our Director of Undergraduate Student Services. Tom is a faculty member, but he's also in charge of everything that has to do with the schedule and anything student services related. He's our go-to person. So he's been a great mentor for me once I started here. He is a wealth of knowledge. He went to RPI. He's very funny. He relates really well to the students. So he's a great person to get to know if you can find him, because he's very hard to find. He takes all the transfer advisees, so he's very busy. He also teaches, but he also works part-time. So he does a lot in his part-time and probably doesn't work for part-time hours. He probably works full-time hours, but just not on campus and not on the books. He is very passionate about what he does, though. And in this next slide, just wanted to tell you a little bit about me, just because I think that's kind of the nice thing about this webinar. We kind of get to know each other a little bit better, because we want you to feel like you're connected to people on campus, that you come to us. We're people too. We want to help you. We're really here for the students. So I do not live in Troy, unlike I think everybody else in this webinar today, and I know a lot of the other people in the hub also live in Troy. I live in Malta, so I'm about half an hour north, closer to Saratoga, but I grew up in this area. So I grew up in Rotterdam, kind of like a perfect triangle, probably, if you drew a line between Troy to Rotterdam to Malta. So I'm from this area. I went to school out in Buffalo, but I came back. I was a rower. You can see in that one picture, bowls. I rowed in an alumni 8 this past October. So I've been getting back into rowing now that my kids are getting a little older. Those are my kids in the picture and my husband. The kids learned to ski last year, so we've been doing that as a family. So if you are or were ever a rower, come and see me, because I love talking to rowers, and just it's my All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Valerie Swenson, and I am here to talk about advising outside of the majors we've already spoken about. A bit about myself. I am an academic advisor for some of these majors here. I advise biomedical, chemical, and industrial and management engineering for the first year. And then after that, you move on to your faculty advisor. So a couple things that I'll go over today, as the other ladies mentioned. Each of the majors is a little bit different in makeup and the number of students within the major, as well as advising. So for biomedical, chemical, civil and environmental, industrial and management, and materials engineers, they are all advised by faculty advisors. So you start with us the first year, and then you move on to faculty advisors after the second year. With each of these different majors, there are it's interesting because a lot of them are smaller. The only major that is combined is civil and environmental in terms of a department, but the rest are kind of their own departments. And I listed some of the different buildings that are here. So within the School of Engineering, the JEC, that is where civil, environmental, and biomedical lives. Industrial and management engineering is within a different building, CII or LO, and then materials engineering is within their own building, as well as chemical engineering there in Ricketts. So, it's pretty neat. We're kind of spread throughout campus, but advising-wise, really you go to faculty there. So the way that advising works for these different majors, give me one moment. Here we go, little tech here. So a lot of these different things, both Kate and Rama and Kristin went over earlier. I won't repeat too many, but really for the majors that I mentioned here, you go to your faculty advisor for the very specific things to your major, the department, questions in terms of electives that you'll take, planning for the future, be that for, internships and co-ops and things that you want to do after graduation. A lot of faculty, as they mentioned, do research, so you can kind of get connected through them for that. They help keep you on track in terms of fulfilling your requirements for graduation and other, general questions related to your major, to the field that you're going into, and so on. So something that is unique with these departments and the different majors that I mentioned is their department offices also help support faculty and students through faculty for the different processes. So, for instance, the department offices for civil and environmental, industrial and management, biomedical, and chemical do a lot in terms of also answering general questions for students, supporting for processes related to undergraduate research and, getting forms together for that. They also handle the curriculum and scheduling as well. So the offices there really know very much about that too. And then department updates as well. So, a lot of the departments are constantly sending out emails to students, these are different opportunities for you. Hey, there's an internship opportunity and things like that. So both faculty advisors and department offices do help to support the majors that I had kind of mentioned here. So with that in mind, something else that we wanted to do with this webinar is also to go over some of the other resources that are here to support you on campus. So again, this is a School of Engineering specific webinar. We've talked about advising from the hub through, upperclassmen, graduation, and things like that. But there are other offices and organizations here on campus to support you during your time here. And that's what I'll briefly go over next. So first, we have got some of the learning-specific organizations and offices. Again, whereas the Hub and the Main and ECSE offices, faculty advising are there to support for engineering-specific things. I would say that the offices I'll mention next are more for general learning, a lot of the classes that you'll take your first year and so on. So we have a writing center that's located within the library to help students with class assignments and independent projects. We also have learning assistants. So they are they come to you through ALAC, which is our Advising and Learning Assistance Center, and they do a good deal of different
workshops. They help connect students to drop-in tutoring. They do a lot of things with generalized skills like time management and other helpful areas too. So through ALAC, there are learning assistants to support you with academics, kind of, outside of the hub and outside of the different advising offices that we have. And then we have drop-in tutoring 5 days a week. There is drop-in tutoring hours available for, the different classes you take your first year, and then some beyond that as well. And they're outside of, student class hours too. So some of them can even go, later during your time after dinner when you're doing studying and things like that. So it's nice to have that additional resource. So then next, we will talk about some of the offices within Academy Hall to help support students. So we have the first year experience office, so that student success consists of both first year experience and then our class deans. So each year at RPI, each class year has a class dean that helps guide them through a number of different things, academic, outside of the classroom. So there's a great place, Academy Hall, if you ever have to access student services that are really outside of the things that we've focused on this webinar, a lot of them are here at that building. So they're a great place to answer questions. FYE does a good deal in terms of orientation, getting you on campus, other things like that. We've also got our Health and Counseling Center. So that's located right on campus, again within Academy Hall, to help with both physical and mental health. And then you've got student life. So within the student life umbrella, there's a number of different, again, offices and organizations. We've got the Center for Career and Professional Development, and that's what I'll talk about next. So you've got international programs, both study abroad, international student services, and research abroad. And then you've got financial aid in the Bursar's office too. So next, I will briefly talk about the CCPD first. So the Center for Career and Professional Development, the CCPD, helps students with career-related areas, be it getting ready for an internship or a co-op research experience. They do things like mock interviews. They help you with your resume and cover letter. There's a specific job posting website called Job Link, and it's, again, specific to RPI, companies wanting brains like yours, and they help facilitate that and get that to students. There's also undergraduate research available on campus. So, if you are interested in doing research here at RPI, there's opportunities with faculty, and the undergraduate research really gets you linked up and kind of involved in those different experiences. So whether you just want to do this in undergrad, perhaps you're considering going on in your future to graduate school or getting research, it's a great opportunity. And then also there's civic engagement, right? So one of the next things I'll talk about is our student union, but there are a number of different ways that you can volunteer, get different work experiences, and that's available, again, through the student union, which ties into this last area here, which is to talk about some of these things outside of the classroom, right? So again, very focused on School of Engineering and advising through your 4 years here. That being said, college, it's a compilation, it's an experience, and everything that you experience over your 4 years here at RPI. So we do encourage you to get involved, and there are a number of ways that you're able to do that at Rensselaer. So first is through Greek Life, which can help you build your network, professional experiences. So there's a number of fraternities and sororities here on campus to get you connected to. And then there's also athletics, right? So we have both varsity sports and intramural and club sports that you're able to join. And then the last thing is clubs and organizations. So this ties back into our student union. I learned recently through one of the takeovers, actually, that the admissions office hosts that there are over 200 student clubs and organizations on campus, and it's a great way to get involved, to get a lot of those professional experiences. If there's a club or organization that doesn't exist, you can kind of start it yourself. And again, that's great in terms of things to be involved with outside of the classroom, but also contributing to your greater experience as an RPI student. So with all of this in mind, what I'm going to do now is turn it over to Q&A and bring everyone back here on the line for any questions that you have. We see that some have gone through the chat as well.
So, Kristin, I don't know if we could go back to whoever has control, or maybe nobody has control. If we can go back to the slide that has the hub advisors with all the majors that you guys advise, because somebody said they didn't see an advisor for the civil.
Should I just approve them? Kate, you're freezing a little bit.
I'm freezing.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Kristin. Can you guys hear me?
It said there was no microphone attached. Yeah. So I can address.
Can everyone?
There's the one question about advisor for civil engineering. So you're right that there's no advisor for civil engineering on this call right now. Your advisor is going to be Karen Lewis, which if you go to the SOE Hub website, you can find all of us and you can find contact information for all of us. If you're not quite sure, and I don't know if it's easy to go back and look at my email, but you can always reach out to any of us and we can connect you. We work pretty collaboratively.
So our
Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Our next question was, can you dual?
All right.
Dual
so
major
can you
and
dual and still have a